Hello, everybody. My name is Ray. Welcome to the Evangelical Dark Web. Today, we're going to be talking about Allie Stuckey versus trad wives. Is this a real, two things pitted against each other? Or is this a fake controversy being drummed up by critics of Allie Stuckey? So, we're going to talk about that. I have a lot more to say about this than I do opinions on the matter. And I think this issue is fascinating because I think we're talking about an issue that faces Christian women uniquely. I think they are a unique demographic that's targeted by much of the trad wife social media movement that we are seeing and we're going to be discussing today, that Allie Stuckey has discussed in a recent video that went viral from Founders Ministry. So we're going to break that down, but first I want you to know Evangelical Dark Web is a Christian news gathering and commentary ministry. You can support our work over at evangelicaldarkweb.org/join. That's our Patreon-like system that gives you more access to more content and helps direct the research direction of Evangelical Dark Web. But the least you can do is like this video and subscribe to the channel or podcast if you are new. So these are the comments from Allie Stuckey. It's about a minute and a half, and I think they're pretty basic. So let me know what you think in the comments section below.
The trend of being a trad wife or having a trad life on social media, which is really less about traditional or biblical values and a lot more about aesthetics. And obviously there's nothing wrong with living on a farm and making your own sourdough and homesteading and all of those wonderful things. But because this has become a trend on TikTok and a trend on social media, unfortunately, some people have made the mistake of conflating that so-called trad life and being a trad wife with being a biblical wife or a biblical mom or having a biblical life. While homesteading and all of that is wonderful, it's great. Motherhood for the Christian is obviously much more than a social media trend. It's not just something that you cosplay, put a costume on and play and pretend. It's not just an aesthetic, it is a calling by God. And there are biblical standards, of course, that women are called to, but it is they're not standards that are set by social media. They're not standards that are set by a TikTok trend. They're not standards set by whatever social media influencer you follow that says, in order to be a good mom, you have to make your own sourdough. That's a wonderful thing, but you can be a great and biblical wife and mom without doing some of those things, which is good news for me because I like to buy my sourdough.
So those were the comments, and I guess people took offense that I like to buy my own sourdough. And here's the thing, I will weigh in on that because, I do a lot of cooking. I'm actually not bad in the kitchen myself. And there are certain things that you just buy because it's too much effort to just make. Like sourdough is one of those things. I have seen the videos on the sourdough and just buy it. That is not worth to me, it's not worth the amount of time that you have to put in to make it. It is not something that is a little bit more complicated that I can make, like a cheesecake. Much more worth it to spend however long I do on that, or some cookie recipes that I do, because I can bake as well. So, but as far as cooking goes, if it takes that long, not worth it to me. So that's my view on that. I do a lot of cooking. Fun fact about me, I've probably never mentioned on here before. So with that said, sourdough, not worth it. I don't like sourdough enough to spend hours and hours and days making the dough. So that's funny that she made that snooty comment, but she is responding to something that is a real phenomenon, I would say. So there is a lot of reaction from this. Some people, I believe, really just don't like Allie Stuckey. And so these comments that she has where she's talking about and critiquing the trad wife social media trend is basically just fodder for them to take out some long-standing or pre-existing beef with Allie Stuckey on. And I have no pre-existing beef with Allie Stuckey, so not really a factor in my analysis. But what I do know is a little bit about this trend with the social media trad wife thing. I've seen some pretty hyper-sexualized aspects of that, such as the wife, getting a boob job for her husband or letting him sleep around on her. Stuff like that does exist within this social media trend. There are some aspects of this trend that are deeply unbiblical. Now, Megan Basham, who works for the Daily Wire, she definitely also backed up Allie Stuckey, basically or bringing a broader perspective, or showing this social media trend to a broader audience is what I'm really trying to say. And I think this was valuable insight. So it largely, there's a lot of references to someone named who goes by social media handle Ballerina Farm, which is a wife of a billionaire. And, this is her. You see the super expensive stove behind her. This is a very aesthetically pleasing kitchen. And the whole thing is that that Allie Stuckey was critiquing was when the trad wife phenomenon, like your ambitions to become a trad wife, are aesthetics deep. And they're not any deeper than aesthetics. Now, are the aesthetics bad? No, actually, the aesthetics in this picture are phenomenal. But how much more is it? And I believe these people are Mormons as well. So not exactly a biblical example that's being set here. But what also is... So Ballerina Farms is the person behind the sourdough trend, apparently. And super expensive property. You can afford to do this because, your wife is a billionaire or your husband's a billionaire. But then you see stuff like this: buy my $22 dish soap. Now, I'm not an expert on soap because I am not the shampoo warlord that is Charles Haywood. But I did listen to an interview that he did where he said to buy the cheapest shampoo because basically the chemistry of soap basically dictates that price has nothing to do with efficacy. Is basically what he said. And I'm not Walter White, but the way that soap works is that it is a lipid molecule that you combine with water, a polarized molecule, and together the polarized and unpolarized molecules clean away dirt, debris, oil, and other issues. So that is how soap works. You didn't expect to learn that on Evangelical Dark Web. Dish soap is not worth $22. Get some of that Dawn and save the ducks or something, because that is a ripoff. This is just a grift. And she's already like super rich, but still is grifting. And then we got the $89 sourdough kit. And like I said, this is never going to be economical at all. I don't see this ever becoming economical to pay for this, and then now you can do sourdough even better than before for $89. So I'm not a fan of the grift. And that's definitely the case with Ballerina Farms. Obviously, there's other examples we can talk about. There's definitely more sinister examples of this trend that we could talk about, and I've alluded to. But the thing is this: what she said was actually edifying to the body, I would argue. That the fact that she said that if you're a Christian wife and mom, and your aesthetics don't match Ballerina Farm, your aesthetics, aren't that of a woman who's married to a rich man and can afford to do the whole farm, rustic kitchen, you're not doing anything wrong in that. Your aesthetics don't have to match their aesthetics, because what is social media really about? And especially for women. For me, social media is about trolling, getting a message out there, and stuff like that. That is what social media is about to me. But for a lot of other people, it's about aesthetics. It's about keeping up with the Joneses or the Kardashians, to use a more modern reference. And that's what social media is about. for a lot of people. And that's a dangerous habit that a lot of people fall into. That's what she's warning against. This is actually edifying content from Allie Stuckey. I see no issue with what she said. I actually think it's very banal at the end of the day. She's offering a pretty generic critique, and she's offering, again, basic principles that aesthetics aren't everything. That you have to be, that being a real trad wife and a real biblical wife is deeper than aesthetics. So I didn't see the issue with that. I think some of this is if the dog, the dog that yelps is the dog that hits, or the dog that was hit. And to me, I'll just use myself as an example. I'm technically a millennial. And if you make fun of millennials, I'm not going to get offended because I'm not the problem with the millennial generation. And I feel like the people who are offended don't realize that if you're not the problem, don't be offended. So that's my advice on the way out. Have a blessed day. We will catch you on the next one.